It's a big week.
I know it is a big week. I feel like I haven't really processed it yet, but working on it.
Yeah, how's it feel different to the first time around?
So different. I mean, I think the first time around I was just filled with so much adrenaline. I was like, okay, wow, this is happening. I've never done this before. And this time it feels a little more real, and it's kind of a scary thing to know that people are going to be like curious and maybe have a lot of ears on it.
That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been kind of tracking.
That's the plan. How long has this song been kicking around? When did Get 'Em Back sort of show up in the whole process?
Oh, it's so funny. Dan and I were at Electric Lady Studios in New York here, and we were writing all day, and we wrote a song that I didn't like, and I had a total breakdown, and I was like, God, I can't write songs. I'm so bad at this. I don't know, whatever, being really negative. And then we took a break, and we came back, and we wrote Get 'Em Back, and it's one of my favorite songs. So just goes to show you, just never give up.
Yeah, you got to get to the point of sort of letting go. At that point, sometimes it just unlocks even some of the deepest stuff that you need to get through. It's a fun song, and it's got a sting in the tail, like a lot of your songs, Olivia. It really there's a sweet revenge to this song. Was it fun to write?
Yeah, super fun to write. I really like the chorus. It feels kind of sticky to me, and feels like something that I would want a crowd to sing. It's very
I think they will.
fire.
It's definitely anthemic, and I feel like the album, it doesn't feel like, that wasn't part of the process. Like, you were definitely keen to sort of get into that place where you were going to give something to the fans to yell back at you. Was that a subconscious part of that process, wanting to kind of deepen that connection between you and your audience through the songs this time?
Completely. I mean, subconscious, both subconscious and conscious, I think. I think I made Sour, and I had never played a show before, so it's just me on my piano in my bedroom, and going on tour after, that album came out, I think was really informative to me as a songwriter, because something that can resonate on a recording is, maybe it doesn't always resonate in a room full of people. And so I think it was really educational, and I think I wrote this album with the tour in mind, definitely.
When did you start to feel like, as a performer, you felt comfortable enough to deliver on those first songs on the debut album?
To do performance-wise?
Yeah, the crowd loved it from the second that you went out and played, because there was that anticipation of hearing those songs in a room with each other. The music was already successful by the time you went out and did the shows, but how long did it take you to feel like you actually felt comfortable performing those songs? Was it quick?
I wouldn't say it was quick. I mean, I was kind of green to the whole performing thing in general. I mean, so weird, my first two performances ever were the Brits and SNL, and so I think I felt definitely not prepared for that. But I think going on tour and night after night, being surrounded by so much positive, good energy, I think I think the confidence, and also just, repetition and practice to be more comfortable. And I think I'm definitely more comfortable on stage now than I was a year ago.
You must be so excited about the next tour, not only having new songs, but knowing that that's a pair of shoes you can fit now, and you can walk in really comfortably, and you know what you want to do, and you know who you are in front of a crowd,
Yeah, I mean, working on it. I'm getting there. It's going to be fun.
Olivia Rodrigo is here with us. Brand new cover of New Music Daily ahead of the brand new album, which is called Guts. It's coming out very soon. The song is called Get 'Em Back. I caught your interview with Phoebe Bridgers, which is beautiful. As you know, at Apple Music, we love artists talking to artists. It's a big part of what we built this whole model around, was the idea of broadening the whole conversation space so artists better understand each other. How was that experience, spending time talking with Phoebe, who's just a wonderful musician and music fan?
Yeah, she's awesome. It was so much fun talking to her. I think she's so smart, and obviously such a brilliant songwriter, but she's just really, really gracious and really down to earth. And it's been really nice to have some interactions with her. I think she's just great all around. It was a lot of fun to talk for an hour.
So we have 12 songs on this album, which is coming out. How many songs do you think you probably recorded with Dan, and to pick out those 12?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably 25. Not anything too crazy.
That's pretty. That's a good going. I mean, the question is always, where are the other 13, and are there any that you feel you can finish, or are finished, or will see the light of day, or are you kind of pretty sort of defined in terms of what the album is and what those other songs represent to it?
Yeah, I think some of them will definitely see the light of day. I don't know. In crafting an album track list, it's just very, there's just intricacies, too many of these songs, and I want to save this for later and stuff like that. So I bet some of them will see the light of day, but Dan and I are a little bit if we're producing a song and we don't feel like we're really jiving with it, we're like, oh, let's move on to the next one. We're not
before you have a nervous breakdown about how bad it is and tell him.
Yeah, I know. It happens. Happens to the best of us.
It happens to everybody. And I mean, look, it happens to everybody in everyday life, no matter what they're doing, that we feel like we're not, achieving to the sort of standards that we set for ourselves. Has making this album helped you better understand that? Do you feel like you can be kinder to yourself in this process now you've been able to do it twice?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. You know what? I think that in general, making this album has given me a lot of confidence as a songwriter. I think writing the first album it just felt so spontaneous, and I was, 17 years old learning how to write songs for the first time and just like pouring my heart out. I had so much to say, and I think this time I was in a different place, and I was having a lot of pressure and, a lot of expectations placed on me, and I think I really had to try to block out the noise and just focus on like the craft of songwriting, and I wasn't, going through my first 17-year-old heartbreak, and I think that it sort of forced me to be maybe a little bit more creative in the way that I write.
Isn't it interesting, though? Like when you're 17, you're going through heartbreak. That's about as pure an experience and pure an emotion as you can ever feel. I think the older we get, the more barriers we put up to that experience and the less honest it genuinely is. I think you feel things the first time it's real. And I think that you really captured that on your first album. And sort of, I sort of wonder, like, what you captured first on this album, where you went on this album that you feel is the purest place when you listen back to it.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like when you're making the album, you can't really see the forest through the trees a little bit about like what it's about or what you're trying to get across. Sometimes you just like wake up and go into the studio and see what comes out of you. But in hindsight, I think that a lot of this album is about sort of the confusion that comes with becoming a young adult and figure out your place in this world and who you want to be and who you want to hang out with and all of that stuff. And I think that that's probably an experience that everyone has had in their life before, is just that kind of rising from that disillusionment.
Yeah. The album is called Guts. Olivia Rodrigo, I think you're speaking to us from New York. You mentioned Electric Lady being in the same city as where you are right now. The relocation, we caught up with you last time. You were sitting in a room with no furniture. I'm assuming that you've been able to fill it out to some degree, and life has kind of taken its place.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Earlier. I'm like, gosh, last time I saw Zane, like, I was living in this empty apartment, but now I have a couch, I have a dining room table.
All the normal stuff.
It's so great. I'm like living large.
I'm pleased to hear it. Is there a song on the album that you think about, because we're about to hear it in full as fans are sort of presented with this body of work. Is there an album on here that you are particularly proud of, or you feel like you were able to go somewhere you hadn't been before as a writer?
I think I really love the song All American. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written, and I really love the lyrics of it, and I think it expresses something that I've been trying to express since I was like 15 years old, this sort of repressed, anger and feeling of, confusion or trying to be like put into a box as a girl. And so, yeah, I think that's one of my favorite songs on the record.
It's the first song on the album. The track listing is up on Apple Music right now. You can pre-add the album, which is called Guts. The last song is called Teenage Dream. I'm obsessed with song one. I'm obsessed with the last song, because if an artist takes the time to put songs in some kind of order to create a narrative, then the way it ends is really important. What is Teenage Dream saying to fans of the music when they hear the album? Why is it so important it ended the record?
Yeah. Ironically, that was actually the first song we wrote for the record that made it onto the record. The last line is the line that I really love. And it kind of ends the album on a question mark. The line is like, they all say that it gets better the more you grow. They all say that it gets better. What if I don't? And I like that it like kind of is like an ending, but it's also sort of a question mark, and it's kind of leaving it up in the air, like what this next chapter is going to be. And, it's still sort of confused, but it feels like a final note to that confusion, a final question.
Congratulations on finishing the album. You had an unprecedented debut experience. To come out with the second album now and to be able to deliver for fans and on that promise is a huge achievement. So congratulations, Olivia, and thanks for some time and good luck in the next couple of days.
Oh, thanks, Zane. It's always such a pleasure talking to you.